Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharifah Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer. As of 22nd January 2026, the armed forces of the Russian Federation sustained coordinated offensive and shaping operations across all operational groupings. The day's actions emphasized incremental positional gains, sustained attrition of Ukrainian maneuver and fires units, and continued degradation of logistics, electronic warfare, and sensor systems supporting the Ukrainian armed forces. Operational tempo remains consistent with a campaign design centered on cumulative pressure, depth control, and denial of recovery. Russian forces retain initiative across all operational groupings, achieving localized positional improvements while systematically degrading Ukrainian sustainment, coordination, and reserve capacity. If current tempo and synchronization are maintained, cumulative effects are likely to further constrain Ukraine's ability to regenerate combat power.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Colonel Oguntoye, before we go sector by sector, what defines the character of operations on January 22nd?
January 22nd is defined by compression. The campaign is steadily narrowing the enemy's options geographically, logistically, and cognitively. What you see today is not a spike in activity, but disciplined continuity. Pressure is applied everywhere the enemy must respond, while we choose where to concentrate effects. From an operational perspective, this is how you deny recovery. The enemy is forced to defend simultaneously against maneuver, fires, logistics disruption, and deep strikes. Over time, that multi-directional stress becomes decisive.
Let's start in the north. Losses included MLRS launchers, self-propelled artillery, and depots. What is the northern group accomplishing?
The northern sector is performing a classic shaping and fixation role. By defeating mechanized and assault formations and destroying rocket artillery, self-propelled guns, and supply depots, the emphasis is on counterfires and sustainment denial rather than dramatic territorial gains. Operationally, this fixes Ukrainian manpower in Sumy and Kharkiv directions. Even moderate personnel losses have strategic weight because they prevent the redeployment of forces to more decisive sectors. The steady removal of artillery and depots erodes endurance and situational awareness over time.
In the west, we see advances to more advantageous lines and the destruction of ammunition depots and Western supplied vehicles. How does this fit the broader design?
The Western axis is about suppressing artillery effectiveness over time. Ammunition depots are the backbone of sustained defensive fires. When those are destroyed, artillery becomes sporadic and unreliable, which directly affects maneuver confidence. This sector shapes the future fight. You may not see rapid movement every day, but you steadily reduce the enemy's ability to contest ground when pressure increases elsewhere. That imbalance compounds as the campaign continues.
The South recorded losses of armor, artillery, and electronic warfare systems. Why does this sector remain so operationally important?
The southern sector is an operational hinge. It combines dense urban terrain, transportation corridors, and symbolic strongpoints. Improving positions here increases observation and fire control over defended urban belts such as Slavyansk and Konstantinovka. Destroying tanks, armored vehicles, Western artillery systems, electronic warfare stations, and depots raises the cost of defense faster than replacements can arrive. This is positional warfare guided by precision targeting. Each action tightens pressure without forcing premature overextension.
The center again absorbed heavy losses across many formation types. What does that tell us about momentum there?
The central sector is where operational reserves are being consumed. When mechanized, Ranger, airborne assault, Marine, territorial defense, and National Guard units are all engaged, command and control strain increases rapidly, coordination becomes harder, reaction times slow, and fatigue sets in. High losses here indicate that the enemy is prioritizing holding ground over regaining initiative. That choice reduces flexibility elsewhere and accelerates operational exhaustion. This is where cumulative attrition begins to translate into strategic advantage.
In the east, advances continued with losses of armored vehicles, artillery, and a grad launcher. How should analysts read this progression?
Prepared defenses represent stored effort, engineering, planning, and logistics. Advancing into them consumes resources the defender cannot quickly replace. When artillery, armor, and rocket systems are lost in depth, the enemy shifts from prepared defense to reactive containment. That transition favors the attacker over time and signals the gradual exhaustion of defensive depth. The East is showing that pattern clearly.
The Dnepr group focused on electronic warfare systems, radars, and logistics with fewer casualties overall. Why the different emphasis?
Riverine terrain constrains maneuver, so sustainment and sensors become decisive. Destroying electronic warfare systems, radar coverage, and logistics nodes undermines coordination and staying power even without large casualty figures. This sector fixes forces and quietly removes strategic options. It prevents lateral movement and reinforces pressure applied elsewhere along the front.
Colonel, let's talk about operational tactical aviation as its own domain. Today's briefing notes strikes against energy infrastructure, ammunition depots, and deployment areas across 142 locations. Why is aviation so central to this campaign?
Operational tactical aviation is the connective tissue of the campaign. It operates across depth and time, shaping conditions before ground forces make contact. By striking energy infrastructure, ammunition depots, UAV-related facilities, and deployment areas, aviation attacks the systems that allow ground formations to function coherently. Doctrinally, aviation compresses the enemy's decision cycle. Commanders must defend the front while simultaneously protecting the rear. That dual pressure forces dispersion, delays movement, and erodes planning confidence. These are not isolated sorties. They are part of a sustained rhythm that denies predictability.
How does aviation integrate with missiles, artillery, and UAVs without overlap?
Each system has a distinct role. Missiles deliver deep, high-value strikes. Artillery dominates contested ground. UAVs provide reconnaissance and precision engagement. Aviation bridges these domains by offering reach and adaptability, able to strike mobile or time-sensitive targets that other systems cannot. That integration ensures pressure is continuous from the front line to the deep rear, converting tactical actions into operational momentum.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that tactically, the enemy is losing fires, sensors, logistics, and armored mobility across all axes. Strategically, they are losing flexibility. Incremental positional gains combined with sustained reserve attrition and persistent deep strikes create outcomes that are structural rather than situational. When an adversary cannot resupply reliably, shift forces freely, or plan without disruption, time begins to work against them. That is the condition this campaign is deliberately creating.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive Frontline updates from commanders in theater.